Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. If you would please slide over into the chat box and let us know where you're calling in from. Let us know who you are, where you're calling from. Thanks for coming. Glad to have you all with us. Glad to have everybody here. Welcome to Zenful Conversations. We're here. You can hear us every day having conversations in a private Facebook group for women. We are in our 4th year. For more information on this group and all of our Zoom offerings, please visit zenfulconversations.com. My name is Zen Brown. I'm your host today, and we're here today with our guest speaker and meditation instructor, best-selling author, self-discipline coach, Giovanni Dienstmann. Yes?
That's right.
Is that correct? Yes, great.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Giovanni, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jen.
Wonderful. Let's get a little bit about Giovanni. As a self-discipline coach, Giovanni has helped hedge fund managers, CEOs, entrepreneurs, ambitious professionals, artists, and pro athletes to live a more focused and disciplined life. Since 2014, he has been successfully coaching people to overcome distractions, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and other forms of self-sabotage. Do we recognize that word? Whatever self-discipline challenges you face, or whatever excuse you are telling yourself, Giovanni has seen it and has developed a tool to deal with it. Whether you need help building a consistent morning routine, breaking bad habits, finding your life purpose, increasing motivation and willpower, achieving your goals, or simply being more effective with your time and energy, mindful self-discipline can help. As a meditation instructor, Giovanni runs liveanddare.com, which is one of the top 5 most visited meditation blogs on the web. His first book, Practical Meditation, is available in 8 different languages and has popularly been called the Meditation Bible. Giovanni has over 10,000 hours of personal meditation practice and is a sought-after consultant to award-winning meditation apps. His meditation programs have helped over 20,000 people start a daily meditation practice, improve their psychological well-being, and master their minds. Giovanni says mindful self-discipline exists so that you can live life on your terms and be the person that you aspire to be. His purpose is to mentor and inspire you on this path, and he asks, will you join him? Will you join him? Like I said, we're so happy to have you here with us. Thank you again for your time and your loving energy, Let's see if, nobody put in the chat box where they're from? Now, come on, y'all. There we go. I'm letting a few more people in. Well, let's just get right to it. We've been reading a lot from your book. Where most of us in this group, most of us here are in the Daily Vibes conversation group. We have a Zenful Conversations that we come every day. We are in our 4th year every single day. Today is day number 1,249.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's self-discipline, right? And we have been reading this book this year. And what I really like is the mindful aspect that you put on it, the mindful approach. Really beautiful. Before we get into this, which is loaded with beautiful nuggets, would you mind sharing a little bit about your journey, what led you to this? I mean, I've actually done a little bit of research and found out that you almost were a monk at one time. And I just kind of would like to hear your spiritual path, because this is a spiritual practice, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I started having interest in spirituality, meditation, and the metaphysical when I was 14 years old. I read some Paulo Coelho books. I was born and raised in Brazil, so he's a fellow Brazilian author. And I was just fascinated with this whole topic. And all the books that I was reading, they were talking about meditation. So I was trying on my own to start meditating, doing some kind of relaxations and breathing exercises, until one day I went into a 1 hour workshop that was being held in my city. And I was guided into a state of meditation. And that felt really precious. It felt that for the first time, I was not running after anything, not running away from anything, just calm and happy in the present moment. And for a teenage and a child who was very restless, seeking something that I didn't know what it was, in that moment, I found peace, perhaps for the first time. And then I decided that I would practice meditation every day in my life. And that was the beginning of that commitment to the daily practice that now has led to about 11 or 12,000 hours. And in this many years, I have read over 300 books on spirituality, meditation, personal growth, mindset, psychology, etc. I sat with different yogis, Zen masters, teachers, lamas of different traditions. And so I have got wisdom from different sources and was always trying to make sense of it all. And that's my work as an author also, to kind of make sense of all of these ancient wisdoms, these ancient traditions, in a way that the 21st century person that lives in the world and not in a cave in the Himalayas can apply that into their daily life. And so, yeah, about my spiritual journey, I spent some years practicing Zen Buddhism. Then I practiced non-duality for about 9 years, traveled to India multiple times, spent some time with Muji, which some of you may know. And then since about 2014, I've been threading the path of yoga and mantra. So that's a snapshot of the journey.
That is a snapshot. Yeah, because the what it says here on this book is described as living with purpose and achieving your goals in a world full of distractions. So that's how you're bringing it to modern day, because these distractions are just unbelievable. So let me just ask, when you first started, you had that one practice that changed your life. You decided you were going to meditate every day. Did you struggle to meditate every day, or you just did it every day since then?
I basically did it every day. I've skipped a day or two when I'm traveling international and like I'm 20 hours in an airport or something. But basically, I've meditated every day, and I haven't skipped a single day in the past 8 years for sure.
Wow. Yeah. So you didn't really struggle, because I think a lot of from what the people we talk with, and even me, I think I do my whole life as kind of a meditation. All my things I do have a meditating factor to it, folding the laundry mindfully, and just in getting into everything. But as far as having that regular time slot that you say is so very important, I struggle with that because of the time commitments, which were just today started talking. We were at the time management section on your book there. So that's, and a lot of the ladies seem to struggle with, I think probably a lot of the ladies that are part of the group are newer, even maybe at taking time for themselves though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And so, all of this is about getting to know who you are and what you want, getting to know what is truly important for you. These are your core values, and your core values create your aspirations. And self-discipline is nothing but our ability to live life in alignment with our values and aspirations, in harmony with our values and aspirations. And these can change in different phases of life. When you are in your 20s, when you are in your 40s, when you're in your 60s, some of this can change depending on the phase of life you're in. But there are some of these values that they're like our soul DNA. They are the things that we have always cared about and paid attention to and wanted to explore and experience. And self-discipline is having empowering structures in your life, structures that help you come back to again and again to the things that matter, to the things that will actually make you happy. And if we don't have these structures, then we tend to gravitate towards whatever is pulling us. And it's not necessarily what is most aligned with us. And it's not necessarily what's going to make us happy. It could be, somebody else's needs and demands. It could be the distractions on our phone and on the internet that are like, they pull us so easily. So self-discipline allows us to live life more on purpose.
There's a couple things that I really like. In the very beginning of the book, you mention, you actually have the definition of self-discipline. Let me find that. Yeah, just right there on page 26. You have the definition of self-discipline, which, if you don't mind, I'm just going to say it real quick. In a nutshell, here's how I define this essential skill. Self-discipline is the art of living in harmony with your goals and values. The longer definition is self-discipline is your ability to live in accordance with your higher goals and values moment after moment. It's your power to overcome internal and external obstacles, commit to what is meaningful to you, and let that guide the way you think, the choices you make, and the actions you take until you bring your goal to fruition. This until fruition really had an impact on me. And the definition, you break out that whole definition, but the until fruition, and not for as long as you feel like it. Self-discipline doesn't ask how you're feeling today. It asks, how will you live your aspirations today? What choice is true to who you want to become? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Whatever change you want to make in any area of your life, be it in relationships, in finances, in career, in spirituality, in health, it's a journey from A to B. And A is where you are now, and B is where you want to be. It's your goal, it's your ideal, it's what you're aiming for. And in this journey, you will meet many obstacles. You may be in an environment that is not conducive to that goal. You may have people around you in your family, or maybe your partner, that don't support or perhaps even actively pull you back from that journey. You will have internal obstacles, such as losing motivation from time to time, not having clarity about what you really want or what to do next, getting distracted with things that are less important, procrastinating on taking action that is meaningful but uncomfortable, telling yourself excuses and believing them, being held back by fear and anxiety at times, failing and not knowing how to get back up, staying stuck in self-doubt. Now, these are all different forms of internal challenges. And it is self-discipline that allows us to stay on track with what matters and go through all of these obstacles one by one until we get what we're looking for.
Yeah, until fruition. Because I think for me, I noticed this I'm 5 years now in my wonderful healing journey and loving every second of it. And as we go along, we realize more and more. But there's certain things, if you do stick with them, if you don't stick with them, you kind of drop off, and then you never get past the start mode, the startup to it. And that's the hardest part. That's the most challenging part. So there's this hump that we have to get over. Is there any way to ease that, or is it just deciding? This is a mindset, isn't it?
It's a collection of things, and that's why I wrote a whole book about how to do this, basically. But it all starts with having a clear aspiration, knowing why that is important for you. Understanding that there are two possible future versions of yourself and future versions of your life. One of them in which you become disciplined in taking action towards the things that matter, and the other one where you don't develop that discipline. And these two versions of your future self, they look different. They are different people. And once you get real clarity about how different they are, and how one of them you are proud of and you're happy and you feel more well and in the other one, you haven't ticked some important boxes, and there's a sense of regret and of being stuck and not moving forward. When you have this clarity on a gut level, not only intellectual level, then you have fuel for the journey. Then you have a powerful why, something that will move you forward. So that's one of the pieces of the puzzle, which is having an aspiration and being willing to work on it, to embrace it, being willing to make some sacrifices. Sacrifice is one of the 4 virtues I talk about in the book. And sacrifice comes from Latin sacra facere, which means to do something sacred, to make something sacred. And in the context of mindful self-discipline, sacrifice is your willingness to let go of the things that are not aligned with where you want to go. And this may be, certain habits, certain mindsets. It could be an old identity, an image that you have about yourself that is not really empowering and perhaps not even true. It's also your willingness to go through some discomfort for that which you want. Like when we have a child, we go through so much discomfort, right? But it's for a higher purpose. It's for something that we want at that phase of life. And the same thing with other types of goals, growing your career. That takes a lot of discomfort. You have to make effort. You have to accept certain things for a certain period of time that are not really pleasant. But the more you make a sacrifice for the things you want, the more valuable those things become to you. And there are different elements about this. And eventually you realize okay, what are the habits that I need to build to support me in this journey? And what is the easiest way of building them? If you are in the time management part of the book, then you've already read about the never zero. That is that
Yes.
uncompromising commitment to do something no matter what, something that is valuable for you. Every author, every expert, every healer will give you something to do. They will give you a practice. It could be some yoga, a special type of meditation. It could be some affirmations. It could be some inner work. And if you do the practice consistently for long enough, you get the results. If you do the practice every once in a while, when the circumstances present themselves and it feels easy, then it will feel good in the moment, but you won't get that result, that transformation. And so for me, self-discipline is the skill, is the way of living that allows everything else to work, to give fruits.
It flows smoother too. It flows smoother. Can you describe your morning routine?
Well, my morning routine is quite extreme, and it's not something that I would necessarily recommend for most people. But and it has changed over time. Now I wake up at 2:30 in the morning. I do some stretches. I have a cold shower, and then I do a little bit of spiritual reading, and then I have a long session of meditation, 2.5 hours long. And I also do about an hour of physical exercise. In my case, it's Kung Fu in a very light way. And then I'm ready to start my day. And then at that point, it's about 7:30 a.m. And it's the time I start my work. So I sleep 7 hours. I sleep 7 hours in total, but 5 hours at night from 9:30 to 2:30, and 2 hours late morning. This is called biphasic sleep, when you split your sleep in 2 phases.
I'm not familiar with that. That's very interesting. Yeah, I did not know you got up at 2:30. Did not know you got up at 2:30. Yeah, that won't be happening here.
Yeah, this is also, it hasn't been like this forever. It's something I started 2 years ago. Before then, I was waking up at 5:30.
Right. I was gonna say never say never either, right? Never say never.
Yeah.
Never say never. Yeah, that never zero, I like. That was the other thing. Besides the until fruition and the never zero. The never zero, it make sure you get that. That means always something. Even 10 minutes is better than no minutes. It's never 0 minutes, never zero, and whatever it is. Let me see if does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask Giovanni. We have Sarasota, Venice, Englewood, a lot of local people here. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? You can come on screen and ask, or you can slide it into the chat box. Any questions on self-discipline at all?
Kimberly.
Yeah.
I do. Hi.
Go ahead. Hey, Kim.
I have a question as far as, you talk about all of this, all the research that you did and, how you started, good habits. And I want to know, have you ever had to break any bad habits?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is it the same process?
It's similar principles, but it's kind of the reverse. So when you're building, let me start with the first part of your question. Yeah, so many times I have not bad habits in the sense of alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, things like that, but bad habits with technology. Before being an author, I was working as a programmer, and so technology was a big part of my life, and it sucks my attention as it does for everyone else, right? So I had to little by little create very specific rules about how often I'm going to check my email, how do I use my phone, etc. So this for a while was a struggle for me, and little by little I created a healthy relationship with technology and the internet, and I have that now. But breaking habits it's a little bit like the reverse process for building habits. When we are building habits, we want to make those habits as easy as possible. So if you want to exercise every day, then make that as easy as possible. Don't say that it has to be a 1 hour of an extremely difficult exercise, or that you have to drive 45 minutes to a class. Something really simple, really easy, so that in the days that you're not so motivated, you can still do it with very little willpower expenditure. With bad habits, it's the opposite. You want to make it as difficult as possible to do them. So for example, if you want to break the bad habit of snoozing in the morning, let's say that you want to wake up without snoozing, you would leave your phone away from the bed so that it's more difficult to snooze. You actually have to get up, right? So that is, in some things they are the opposite.
I got one more question too. I'm not sure, because you're in Australia. Have you always been in Australia?
No, I was born and raised in Brazil, and I moved here about 10 or 11 years ago.
But you've never been in the United States?
I've traveled there, but I haven't lived there.
I just have a question as far as your meditation beliefs, because now it seems to be like they're bringing in meditation into the schools, like a younger age. Like when I went to school, there was never any thought about any of that. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
I think it's an interesting question, because the idea is that you don't need to believe anything to practice mindfulness, and you don't need to believe anything to repeat the sound in your mind and notice how that calms you. And strictly speaking, that is true. You don't need to believe anything to do those practices, and they are beneficial. Like they give you lots of benefits. So in general, I think it's a really good thing. But for those who decide to go really deep in those practices, and that's not just practicing 10 minutes at school every day, like those who go deeper in those practices, they will their worldview will change. So it's not that the practice is not asking you to believe anything, but through the experiences that you may have in the practice, if you go deep into it, it may change your worldview. I don't see that necessarily as a problem, because you're not asked to believe any dogma. You are just exploring your own consciousness, and you can decide what you want to do. In some cases, like if you go deep into the meditation practice, in some cases meditation can have adverse effects, just like anything in the world. Physical exercise, it's great, but depending on how you do it, if you do it too much, if you do it in the wrong way, you can hurt yourself. It's the same thing with mindfulness and meditation. And I think we are becoming more and more aware of that. So people who teach these practices in whatever settings, they need to be aware of that. So that when there's a question about it, they know they know the intervention to have, they know what to do.
What are you saying, that you can meditate too much, or what is it? How could it be bad? I don't get how it can be bad, or how it can lead to.
So, and this is something that I cover on the chapter 39 of the book a little bit, but there are different styles of meditation, and they're all different exercises.
Okay.
There are different forms that we can exercise our consciousness, our awareness, our brain. And they have different effects on us, right? So for example, the mindfulness meditation, in which you are taught to just observe everything as it is, kind of without attachment or rejection, without touching anything, just kind of like you're witnessing everything as is and letting everything come and go. It is shown that if you do too much of that practice, you may lose motivation in life.
Oh, okay.
To do anything, because the desire to do something is just something that you watch come and go.
Right.
Right. So it's a different skill. So in that chapter 39, I talk about the difference between observation meditation, like mindfulness, and concentration meditation. In observation meditation, you are training your attention to be wide and shallow. You're training yourself to see all things equally.
Okay.
But motivation is not about seeing all things equally. Motivation is about feeling powerfully moved by one thing. And so you can see that it's a different skill in the brain. And so if you're only training this skill, you may not use that one anymore. Concentration meditation, on the other hand, it's the opposite. Your attention is narrow but deep. You select one thing and you stay with it. So these styles of meditation, they exercise different parts of the brain. They have different effects on you. If someone is a very impulsive person, I would say do observation meditation, do mindfulness. That's going to be good for you. If you do concentration, it may actually make it a little bit worse. If a person is struggling with motivation and focus, I would say probably concentration meditation will be better for you. And this is something that I know from my own experience and study, because I have read books about many different traditions. I've tried many different practices, and I have felt the difference in my life. But most meditation teachers out there, they teach you one meditation style, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So that's something that is a little bit unique about my work, which is the idea that different styles give you different benefits, and they suit different temperaments and different people. There was one style of meditation that I did called self-inquiry, a non-duality style of meditation. And I did that for 9 years. And in that style, when you go deep into it, you get to a space within yourself that you're just in complete peace and bliss. Right? So like, you don't need anything. You don't want anything. And depending on the phase of life you're in, that's great. For a man in his early 20s, probably not the best meditation at that phase of life.
Right. It's interesting that this is neat part of the conversation here, because I would say that, yeah, that's what we're all seeking, is that that nirvana.
I had no idea. Yeah, I had no idea that there were so many different forms, and that's really interesting. So I can do the meditation, but you won't get me on the cold showers.
It's just a 10-minute shower though, right?
The cold shower is even less than that. 10 minutes is a lot for a cold shower.
Thank you.
Different practices for different purposes.
Yeah. Stephanie's a cold shower fan over there.
Yeah.
Julie says, so much new and interesting information on meditation. There's a lot. Wow. Yeah. Well, that's so interesting, because by golly, I talk about us letting everything be quite frequently. But I also talk about us making sure that we honor ourselves. And I think we've come to a healthy understanding of that.
And we need both these skills. Both these skills are important. We need to learn how to let go and to not get involved. And we need to learn how to hold on and get involved. These are two different aspects. And wisdom will tell the difference. Like, should I use this skill now or should I use this other skill now? People who, if you only have one skill, if you only have the skill of letting go and acceptance, that can help you not suffer. Because when we are letting go of things, when we are accepting things, we're not suffering. We are in a state of ease. But you may have trouble setting boundaries in your relationships because you tend to accept everything, right? That's and in life, we get more of what we accept. So if people treat us bad and we accept that, we're going to get more of that. If we don't have enough money and we accept that, then we're not going to work hard to change that. And so that's one side of the story. On the other side of the story, the ability to hold on to something, to focus our energies, to make something happen. Also, if that is the only skill you have, well, you're never going to be happy, are you? You're just always going to be in the treadmill. You're always going to be in the rat wheel. So we need a balance of the opposites. We need that whether we, regardless of who we are, regardless of gender or anything, we need more of that feminine energy and more of that masculine energy in balance. We need the ability to accept, to let go, to nurture, to love. And we need the ability to focus, to go after, to energize. These, being a complete human being, we need all of these tools in our toolbox. Because if we only have a hammer, then we tend to look at everything as if it's a nail. And the problem is not everything is a nail. So we need these different tools. We need these different ways of being.
Wow, pretty enlightening. Thank you. Sally raised her hand. You have a question?
I was going to say, I'm not, I guess I would say I can zero in on myself and find out, more what I need at this moment. Either the mindfulness, or the concentration part. But I go to groups and they seem to switch it on and off, the two different kinds. And, so I have yet to be alone by myself and try to decipher that, except for when I do a meditation by myself. But it's a whole ball of wax for me right now, because I'm just learning from these groups and I wouldn't stop them, because they're helping me learn all this. But so that's what I'm doing. But when I end up not doing so much of that, and maybe I won't. I have thoughts of being a monk inside my house or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I have thoughts of continuing this, as a part of my life. So right now I don't know what I'm doing. So I guess I was going to say that's what I do, is I leave it up to wherever I go to meetings because I like them and I must like them for such and such a reason, and but I don't have it all planned out yet.
Yeah. It sounds like you're more in that exploration phase, and that's fine, where you're trying different things. Mm-hmm. After a while, you may find a teacher or a path or a practice that really resonates with you. Mm-hmm. And then you hold on to that. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, is the more we are clear about what we are seeking, about what we want, then mm-hmm. we can know, is this practice helping me get there or not? Some people come to meditation because they want healing. Other people want to meditation because they want to perform better in their life. Other people come to meditation because they want spiritual enlightenment. It's not going to be the same practice for these three types of people. It has to be something that is suited to that particular goal and to the temperament of each person.
Well, I want all of those.
Me too. Me too. I was gonna say, can we get them all from this? We condense it all. Time management, right, Giovanni here.
Well, if you need more, then you would have a balanced combination of practice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Boy, I tell you, you're giving me a lot to think about. Thank you, Sally. Thank you,
Maria
Sally.
has a question.
I have a question. You just mentioned the healing. Do you have any experience with a healing meditation? I have my brother's girlfriend is trying to do that. She has a disease, and she's trying to really go deep and try and help with this disease. Do you have any experience with healing meditation?
So yeah, when I say healing, it could be interpreted in two different ways. It could be interpreted as the physical healing, like the body's in pain, the body's sick, or it could be interpreted as kind of emotional or psychological healing. If we're talking about, I have created a meditation about dealing with chronic pain with mindfulness, and the approach to that is to, you do the opposite of what you would naturally do, which is want to distract yourself away from the pain and to look the other way. You actually go into the pain, but you learn to be there without aversion, without pushing it away. We just kind of be there with a mind that is calm, with a heart that is open. And thousands of people have taken that meditation of mine on Insight Timer, and they said that this was super helpful, and they do it every day. So that would be my main approach if someone is dealing with pain in the body. That is how I think meditation can help. Now, another thing that could be is if there's a type of chronic disease that keeps on coming, and like why is this happening? Because we know that what's happening in our mind, in our soul, it shows in our body. And so you could use just the skills of meditation to see if you can get in contact with that part of the body that is sick, like internally in your awareness. So if there's something going on in my stomach, some type of stomach disease, you could, in meditation, after the mind is calm and stable and introverted, you could move your awareness to the stomach and ask the stomach as if it's a person, what's happening to you? Why is this happening? And if you do that in the right space, with patience, with receptivity, you may find that an answer comes inside yourself. And that answer could be an image, it could be a voice, it could be an inner knowing, wordless inner knowing. Maybe you feel like, there's something in my life that I haven't learned how to digest. And this is now showing in my body, for example. And then that becomes a powerful insight that can help you in the healing journey. So these are some of the ways that meditation can help with healing.
Yeah, for sure. Allows our mind. It's our thoughts. Our thoughts are so powerful. Our thoughts are so powerful too. And so I think it in a way quiets our minds down so we can actually be in tune and allow our own innate goodness to come forth. There's a lot to that. It can't necessarily, you don't want to say that it could replace any doctor's care or anything like that, but I know for me, it's worked in my healing journey quite unbelievably so. So there's definitely something to it. We will be sending all of Giovanni's contact information, and we will include what you're talking about there. As far as that, it sounds like we're going to have a pretty good email full of a bunch of information when we send it out to you guys. Thank you so much, Maria. Would anybody else have any questions that they'd like to ask?
I don't know if my question is silly or not, but it's something I've been thinking about lately with all our talk about discipline. Is being driven and discipline different? The reason why I ask is when I was younger, I was driven to music, and it was like an obsession, and I was so focused and so driven. It would wake me up at night when I was being creative. It was all day, all consuming. And in order to do it though, I had to be disciplined. So it was almost, because I had to still go to school. I had to, even when I went to college, and then when I had children, I had to have slots and be so disciplined and so driven. And then when I was about 50, I crashed from it. But I always thought of myself as being disciplined. Is it different? You know,
I think, yeah, a good question. I think there's a big overlap. If you have an all-consuming goal or desire or drive like that, then that will push you to be disciplined because you want to make time for it. You want to create space for it in your life, as you did, you know, in your early years and later on in your family life. So in your case, I would say that you were very driven and that made you be disciplined. Now, there are people who they are somewhat driven, but they can't focus that drive into actual action. And so like they want something, but they're not taking action. It's a bit haphazard. Maybe because they're getting distracted with other things. Maybe there are contradictory desires. Maybe there's self-doubt. And that just becomes a wish, something that I want, but I don't actually do. And you can also be disciplined without being particularly driven. You know, I'm disciplined about brushing my teeth every morning and before going to bed, but I don't have like a particular strong motivation or desire about it. It's just a little discipline that makes life better.
Okay, yeah, and part of the reason why I'm in this group is because of that crashing. Now I'm trying to find a little more balance, and I've actually stopped playing a lot for the last 6 months to just try and get space and get balance before I go back, because I don't want to be driven again. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like
yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot there to unpack, you know, and it's hard to do it like this, but it could go into different directions, right? It could be that you know, it could be that the crash and the pain was not because you were being driven. It could be that it's because the way you were being driven. It could be that there's a different way of going back to music that is a bit more playful and less intense. It could be that could be different things. But yeah,
I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm a very intense person, so maybe that's what I need to focus on, the playful side. Yeah, thanks. That's
Yes,
There you go.
sure. Yeah, Cheryl, that's the reason that there is this group.
Yeah,
It's because of my crash and burn.
right.
And then just recently I've called it a breakdown, breakthrough, to change the language in my head that I'm no longer on my healing. I've broken through. But yeah, that we'll talk about that. We'll start talking about that a little bit in the coming weeks. Any other,
Stephanie had
thank
a
you,
question.
Cheryl. Thank you. Oh, go ahead. Great.
Stephanie had a question.
You're on mute, hon. There you go.
Hello. I have a ton of questions, but I'll try to keep it short.
Okay.
This is a general question. Is there a certain position to meditate in, or is it kind of a personal preference?
The most important thing is to keep the spine and the neck straight, ideally unsupported. The positions of the legs and the hands, they don't matter that much.
Okay, so that means you want to be in a vertical position, not a horizontal position, because it's supported, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
in some styles of meditation, like Yoga Nidra, you are actually supposed to meditate lying down. Otherwise, you'll be seated up.
That's the best energy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's it. I'm enjoying listening to you.
You said a ton of questions.
I know you're allowed.
I know.
You're allowed.
I just can't think of them all right now. I'm not so much, well, I guess we're all on a healing journey. I feel as though I'm kind of the opposite of Cheryl, where I have finally at 60 realized that I can keep doing stuff that make me happy and that I can still pursue a career at 60. Just because the general population works for 30 years and then retires at 60 doesn't mean that my life has to go that way. So that's kind of a mindset that I have right now, that I am like, I'm on the third journey in my life where my goal is to get a teaching position in a classroom, which I have never had. I've substituted. I went back to school late in life to get my teaching degree. And then, so my question is just that I'm trying to, time, the restraints are always, when you work, but I guess you just have to kind of, like your schedule sounds pretty good about the 3:30 and getting up and then going to bed at 9:30. So I think I get in that routine when I'm working because I'm out of the house 8 hours of the day. And then I come home and I'm usually tired, but the early mornings is, I think, a good time to do the meditation. Probably I live alone, but I mean, if you have a family or something like that. So
I'd say that the morning routine is a powerful concept that we talk about. The idea is that you start your day with your aspirations. You start your day when you have, full wakefulness, when you have full energy at the beginning of the day. You start by doing the things that you may not do if you leave them for evening. And so your morning routine could include an hour of studying for this new career.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So I implement it in the meditation. Okay. I really don't do much meditating. I mean, not a serious, organized meditation, but that I'm really into it. I'm really into doing that. So yeah.
Until not yet, because we're starting a 21-day meditation journey.
Yes.
But, let's see here. Decision fatigue. Decision fatigue probably plays into that too, Stephanie.
Yeah, I just feel like sometimes, I guess I always feel like to be successful, you always have to do it in a big way. My human design tells me differently, that I function a whole different way than some people. I don't like, and Jen, you say this too, you don't like fast things either and time constraints. And I find that when I work full time that I have a hard time fitting it all in, but I guess if you don't have to do it, how can I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like we're getting disciplined, but yet we need to also enjoy it, right? I mean,
you need a balance.
Right.
You need a balance of fire and water, as we talk about.
I have instilled, walking into my thing. I've instilled yoga. I mean, I've got that down now that I just get up and I do it. I don't think about it anymore. It's kind of like brushing your teeth. So, I mean, to me, that's a big step because I was never disciplined in anything. So I'm real proud of myself. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're here. You're here.
Sure.
Thank you, Stephanie, so much. Does anybody else have any questions? We have about 10 minutes left. Comments? Any comments? Let's see. What else is on here? What else is on here? Jody, you don't have anything to say, or Ginger, nothing that you would like to ask or say? Okay, go ahead, Giovanni, please. What were you going to say?
Oh, it just came to my mind that one of the things that can make the journey of self-discipline harder is psychological trauma. So if we are dealing with that because we're talking about healing, if we're talking about the internal healing, if there has been trauma in your life, that is something that can make things more difficult, because there may be that voice of self-doubt. There may be a part of you that is not going to allow you to try things that are risky because it's afraid and has good reasons for that. And so that's why I love this topic, because it's once you have a goal, once you have a purpose and you want to be disciplined about it, that will be a playground for you to work on all levels of yourself.
Right. So it's the self-discipline to even work through those trauma things. So it's actually the meditation with the mindful self-discipline. Yeah, that's the name of the book, Mindful Self-Discipline. So it's the meditation with the self-discipline that makes it magic.
Yeah, that's why it's a mindful self-discipline. It's a combination of these two things, of awareness and willpower, of knowing and doing.
All right. And that's what Ginger says. That's where I'm at, trauma and self-doubt. Yeah. There's a lot of trauma in all of our, well, my gosh, most of us 50s or so, 60s, and there's been a heck of a lot of trauma throughout those years, and a lot of absorbing it until the body can't do it anymore, and then we're coming back from all of that kind of stuff. Those are private sessions, actually, aren't they? That would be private sessions. That would be private sessions for sure. May I ask if anybody else has any questions or comments before we continue forward here? We have just about 7-ish minutes left. Giovanni, is there anything that you would like to discuss? I don't want you to leave here wishing you would have said something. If not, I got questions. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, let's hear them.
Well, I would like to have the importance of meditation expressed. Why is it so important?
Right. Meditation is an exercise for our mind, for our heart, for our awareness. And just like we need to exercise our body for our body to be healthy, for us to feel good in our body, we need to know our mind, and we need to know our internal world and to exercise it so that the energy flows, so that we are feeling happy, so that we all meet suffering and adversity in our life. We all have negative thoughts and emotions coming up. And meditation trains you. It gives you the tools to know how to manage these things, how to deal with these things. It changes you little by little. It teaches you that you're more than your thoughts and your emotions, that you are the awareness, the pure consciousness in which all of these things come and go. And when you start to little by little know yourself as such, then there will be a sense of peace and freedom, that you are like more than your personality. In a way, you are deeper than that. And this is a lifelong journey. It's a transformation that doesn't happen overnight. For a whole life, we have been using our mind in a very particular way, in a very kind of chatty, externalized way. And now we're trying to calm it down and turn it inside and go deep. That would take, there's a lot of momentum going the other way. So that would take some consistent practice. I like to see meditation in the same category of things as, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, eating. It's a type of thing that is best to do every day.
So someone new to meditation, would they start with 5 minutes a day, or what would you suggest somebody new to meditation?
Yeah, in general, I would suggest them to start small. For depending on the person, it could be 5 minutes or it could be 20 minutes, but it should be smaller than your motivation. If you are motivated and capable of meditating 30, meditate 20. Right? Make it easy.
And never zero.
Establish the habit, yeah. And then you can grow little by little if you want to.
That's been what's kind of worked for me a little bit, is implementing it, even if it's just 2 minutes. But once I get that time slot down, then I realize that I like it. And then once I like it, it's easy for me to create time and space for it, because it's something I want to do. It's just getting it established, getting it started, just one foot in the door. Get that foot in the door and keep it going. Sally, you have your hand raised again, honey?
Are you muted?
I was listening to you talk about trauma, and I really like the way you put that. Once we, if we have a history of trauma or have a traumatic something we wanted to work on, that's a lead into all of this. But does it have to be? Do you have meditations for that, or meditations in a group that it might not have to be, individual therapy, which I have, but meditation wise and everything you're talking about, do you have certain meditations that would be helpful for that? Or
I don't have any meditation that is called like meditation for trauma.
yeah.
But in my program, I do teach many different styles of meditation, and some people who are there, they do struggle with trauma and they find them helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's
Right. Yeah. No, people who come to me for self-discipline, if they have a trauma history and that is part of the work, then I say like, no, you can work with my wife. Like she does the trauma healing side of things. I do more the coaching side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a particular skill, but I'm trauma informed and I have created tools that help people with trauma, because as part of the process of healing trauma is you will need a stable nervous system, because you are opening up that Pandora box inside of you, right? And all of those painful emotions and memories are going to come up, and you will need to have a stable nervous system, a stable awareness to be able to process that in a way that allows you to release it. If not, like you start opening and then you have to close it again because you just can't. And here's where meditation, mindfulness, the other tools that I teach are really helpful.
I understand what you're talking about. And I was wondering, in your insight timer meditations, if you have more, could you mention certain ones that people seem to be able to use for their own trauma resolution?
Yeah. In general, I would recommend the Inner Silence one and Yoga Nidra.
We do
These two
yoga
are helpful.
nidras. That's what we offer quite often. We do 2 times a week. We have them, different yoga nidras and or guided meditations of some sense, but they are very helpful. They are very helpful. Kim says, what is the meaning on the wall behind you? And I would say that's mindful self-discipline, and that's live and dare. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a symbol of an aspiration. It's the aspiration pillar of mindful self-discipline, and it's in the cover of the book. It's us having a direction in life, having a compass for living. There you go. And here on the right, it's the live and dare symbol, and that is a lion that is meditating.
Oh,
and
awesome.
It's a lion that is peaceful. And I say in my work that I'm not interested just in peace. I'm interested in empowered peace. So again, that balance between empowerment and peace, between the ability to get what you want and the ability to let go. We need these two in our life. So that is the empowered peace, the peaceful lion.
That's pretty helpful. Sally, thanks for asking that about the trauma. We will tomorrow send the replay link for this, and it will include Giovanni's to get his book, his contact information. And I'm assuming maybe you could get something for the Insight Timer too. Let us know how to connect with that. I wanted to share that along with this book, it through the pages there, there's a workbook that you can download as well, right?
Yes.
And that's mindfulselfdiscipline.com/workbook. But I will put that in the email tomorrow as well. Any other final comments, Giovanni?
No, it's just I'm here to encourage everybody to get in touch with yourself, know what you want, know what is important for you, and then go for it. Like you can do it. You don't need to doubt yourself. If you have failed in the past, doesn't mean you're going to fail again now. You have you're in a different time in your life. You have different tools, you have a different support, you have a different wisdom. So have the courage and the confidence to know yourself and to create your dream life.
Beautiful. Eileen raised her hand there at the end. We got one more second. Let's get you in, girlfriend. Unmute. There you go.
Are you muted?
I've really enjoyed your talk. You bring so much interesting and insightful I'm someone that's been I practice TM, and I started in the 70s, and I left the practice for a long time, and it was amazing how decades later I was able to pick it up again with assistance, of course, but my mind knew exactly what it did back when I was practicing in the 70s. And the part that kind of resonated with me, what you spoke of, is to be watching for the effects of how your practice or your meditation affects you, because that's been so true with me. There have been visible things that I've been able to observe in my own daily life that I've benefited from. And I think that's the reward. And I think that actually motivates you to continue your practice, because it's almost like our yoga practice. You wake up and you really want to do it. So I thought that was really helpful, that, you know, if you really look and observe yourself as a result of your practice, you will see benefits, or maybe, like you said, some things that you don't really want to grow in your life. So thank you for that. I think that's so important. I don't think people realize that there is profound effects, and you just have to watch for them. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I enjoyed it so much. Jen, thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, thank you all for coming. So tomorrow I will send the information via email along with the replay link, and I'll send it to you, Giovanni, as well, in case you'd like to post it anywhere. Any final questions, comments, or anything from anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And Giovanni, thank you so
Thank you.
very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste, everyone. Namaste.